Hello, this is Malorian, and this is going to be a fantasy battle report. And it's actually the next one in the series of the slow grow campaign I'm doing with my brother. So, really, at this point, we should be at 650 points painted, but there's some good and some bad to this. The good for me is that actually when I put my stuff together, I could actually do 1,000 points fully painted. So awesome. The bad news for those who don't remember this from last time is that my brother is pretty much out of the whole painting thing. He's going crazy painting Tau right now, so he's not going to be painting his Warriors of Chaos. But we've now jumped up to doing 1,000 point games rather than the 650 in order to give him a little bit of wiggle room. We've also decided to go and change the board down to a 4x4 in order to kind of, I don't know, just bring in scale with the size of game we're playing. Now, something talking about my list, actually I had my whole list made out, like I said, really pushing to make it so I'd have fully painted 1,000 points. Unfortunately, after I did this, I realized that I was cheating a little bit on my rare because I just painted up a Frostheart Phoenix, which takes up 240 points every 250, so obviously the eagle didn't really fit in. So with that, I just took the eagle out, added in some more spearmen, there you go. For my brother's side, I was really wondering what it's going to take because he got in this new order of stuff and he really was being hush-hush about what it was. So it's going to be interesting and hopefully he's going to have more fun, and let's see what happens. All right, so looking at his left flank here, he has his chariot from before, but now he has a new little toy, and that's the Gorby's chariot. And this is something I was really not looking forward to. Obviously, one of the very scary builds for the Warriors of Chaos is the chariot list. And so, yeah, and of course, they all have the mark of Nurgle. They're very strong. So now that he has a second one, I mean, it only gets worse from here. So very scary to see this change. In the center, he has some more new toys, and that's the new War Shrine. He also has the Skull Crushers, and those are just freaking deadly. Especially, I'm scared because I don't have my eagle here to redirect them. And then he has, of course, his dogs. It's either a level 1 or level 2 Nurgle Sorcerer there, and then some warriors there. There's no banner in the unit because of points, but yeah, you know, they're a little small unit. It's just what you have to do in 1,000 points, right? Otherwise, on my side, here's that newly painted Frostheart Phoenix I was talking about. Also have the archers and some swordmasters. In the center, I got my spearmen and then my noble on Griffin. And then on the right flank, a blurry picture of some more swordmasters. So the mission we got was just regular battle line, but you know, as is always typical for me and my brother, we rolled up rivers. We got two of them here. Otherwise, there is a forest in the back right there. He decided to deploy inside them because of how limiting his deployment was, and so it's going to be a venom thicket. The building up there, though, is going to be a wizard tower, so that's why I don't really know if it was a level 1 or level 2, because his guy was basically a lore master the entire game. Otherwise, the linear obstacles are all the blessed, you know, barwark things. So they are making it so that the force of destruction or halving their initiative really doesn't come into effect. You know, these things are never really used. And then there's the hail on my side. So really looking at this game, I really want to use the river on the right as much as I could, and so I should be able to shoot away the dogs, but then those skull crushers will just be a real pain because my Frostheart Phoenix is pretty awesome, but against a 1+ save and all those attacks, I'm just going to get ground down. So really what I want to do is get my monsters into his infantry and kill his character and all that fun stuff, but before that happens, I'll probably have to deal with the chariots, so I might have to draw them in with the spearmen, but yeah, if possible, hopefully I won't have to fight those skull crushers at all, and I'll just feed him some small units. So his first turn, he comes out of the Venom Thicket, and of course takes a wound to dangerous terrain. Just a note here, he's going to be getting rid of his musician, but this is the way it was built when he bought it. And yeah, I mean, it really is too bad he had to be in there. This is one of the things where maybe a 4x4 foot board is, you know, the right size for a 1,000 point game. But once you start getting some of this terrain in there, you know, had we gone to 6x4, then he would have more options to be not in this terrain. So that was unfortunate. Otherwise, the end of his turn looks like this. Doesn't really do anything with the magic phase or anything, but he is being a little bit more defensive. He doesn't have to be running into my face. He does outrange me, because whereas I have little arrows, he has Death Magic Lore Master. So, but yeah, he's definitely in a dangerous position here. So on my turn, I do some pretty good shooting and I kill off the dogs. We had to measure it pretty close, but my noble on Griffin was able to get to the left flank there and outside of the his line of sight basically for the Gorby's chariot. The left sword masters are just there to go and bait one of the chariots away, and the Frostheart Phoenix is just really in a spot where hopefully I can threaten everything. And if you ever see that dice below it, the silver one, that's showing what effect it has on the magical chart. So on his turn, he charges the sword masters, and I flee and get away. And now my Griffin will have a nice flank charge if I want it. And then he uses his death magic to take a wound off my noble. And that's the thing. I mean, I can put all these wounds or this, points into getting him gear and stuff because he's a 2+ armor save. And he has a reroll and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he only has 2 wounds, and death magic will ignore a lot of that armor save. So it's kind of dangerous. Over here, he charges my archers. I do a stand and shoot. In between it, the wounds and the dangerous terrain, he's actually lost a Skull Crusher in the river. So the river is a type where it just gives him +3 initiative. But yeah, his Skull Crushers aren't doing so well so far. Otherwise, on my turn, I have a little bit of bad luck. My spearmen go for a long charge on the Gore Beast chariot. Needed a 9, so I wasn't too upset when I failed that. But then my Griffin was supposed to charge the chariot. Then the plan was to overrun into the warriors, but I failed the charge. I rolled like a 2-1-1 or something stupid like that. And yeah, so that was a little bit embarrassing. Otherwise, in the turn, it's looking like this here. So yeah, I feel like I'm in still a pretty strong spot. I really am hoping that the Skull Crusher is going to charge the archers, overrun, and then I can flank with the Sword Masters and or the Frostheart Phoenix. But yeah, I can't believe I failed that one charge. On his turn, though, he decides to first charge the Sword Masters. I flee through the river, and I roll 3 ones. So yeah, this river is claiming some life this game. And then the Skull Crushers go into my archers, and this is just bad news. But the main thing is I saw this coming. Hopefully I can pick off a couple of wounds, and then if I can just flank with my Frostheart Phoenix after, this could actually net me a lot of points. Or if not, I can just ignore them. We'll have to see which way it goes. Over here, he just pretty much moves his chariots away, so I can't be getting them with the spearmen, and then the magic face gets the soul blight off, so -1 strength and toughness. Over here, he of course destroys my archers and overruns. Somehow does not fail a dangerous terrain on that barricade there. But the big thing is that he overran 11 inches, which is exactly what he needed at least to be out of the line of sight of the Frostheart Phoenix. So yeah, if he just would have gone 10 or less, I would have seen him, but he went too far. So what else can I do now other than just try and go with the goal of just ignoring them? So in the turn, it looks like more like this. Hopefully now I can try and get in there at the Frostheart with the main body there and do some damage. But yeah, so far my plan isn't coming together the way it was supposed to. So my turn, though, I get a lot of charges off. Both my monsters are going to his main chariot there. The archers, the spearman again was needing an 11 for the charge, and I got it. So this was really good with all this static combat res. Hopefully I can beat this guy. But like I said, these things are toughness 6. I'm -1 the hit. Yeah, it's really a tough task. And if he rolls well with his attacks with all his strength 5, he's just going to chew me down. So hopefully this works. This is the best case scenario anyway. So after everything is done, it doesn't go so hot. So the swordmen at the bottom, they reform as the face. Other swordmen are moving up. Yeah, I did 1 wound to the Gore Beast, but it did, 3 wounds back and decided to hold, so that didn't work. And after this, I'll just be losing, combat res. Over there, he was able to kill my noble, I believe it was, but I did a wound to him. I won by a bit here, and he holds. So now he's going to be able to counter, and I'm not really liking the look of the board at this point. So that's what he does. His War Shrine comes into my flank, and he's going to do some wounds. He's going to have some, now the charge and the flank, and, I could lose both my monsters right here if I break some tests. Overall, though, this is from back here, and I think the main thing I was trying to show was he used the War Shrine to cast some magic to, give him some buffs, but really all the stuff was nothing really important. I think he got like +1 armor save on his champion, and then maybe +1 attack on his sorcerer. It was nothing really that impressive. Overall, though, here, yeah, this is what it looks like at the end. So the Skull Crushers go and they turn around. And one of the biggest things that's going to be huge with this is that he decided to look at an angle there. I mean, he could have been facing me directly. But anyway, now I can maybe save my Sword Masters just by moving them out of the way. And after the combats were done, yeah, I was able to hold with the Spearman on the left. I mean, obviously he's grinding me down, and maybe I think I can't even remember who won this one. I think this was a draw, but in the right combat, he came in really fluffed. I mean, really, the -1 strength thing from the Frostheart Phoenix, making him effectively toughness 7, that's huge. It's so massive. So after everything was done, that one was a push as well. So I really feel I really lucked out in this here. Otherwise, on my next turn, the Sword Masters make decent charge over here into the flank of the Gorby's chariot, and now this should be enough to take it down. And over here, like I said, the other Sword Masters, remember, they can't march because they're in a river, but the regular movement alone was enough to wheel around and get outside of the charge arc. And yeah, once everything was done here, it was done, because on the left side, I killed the Gorby's chariot flat out. On the right side, I did some wounds here. He did 1 wound to my Griffin, but then he broke with both. I ran both down. That panicked the warriors, so they are running off here, like you see. Luckily, they went far enough to get away and not be touched by my Griffin, but on his turn, they're going to continue to flee, run off the table, and then, of course, at that point, the game was over. So there you go, a big win for the High Elves, but really, I didn't think that was the way it was going to go down, especially the way it was first looking out where, man, he's going to be a lore master of death magic, and my big charges all failed, and all of a sudden he was going to be able to countercharge. It all looked like it was going to go downhill, but then all of a sudden you get a few little supporting things here, some bad luck, and again, my brother just keeps having such bad luck with his main block, failing leadership, and it's one of these things where, if he had the room in there in order to put more magical banners like the Banner of Discipline or getting in a BSB and stuff like this. It would help so much. And so one of the things really talked about after the game was just the fact that, you know what, we already jumped it up to go up to 1,000 points ahead of where we're supposed to be at. Why don't we go even further? Why don't we go to like the 2,000 points or whatever? I'll do my best to try and catch up with painting. Obviously, the whole idea of going up 150 points with painting every month isn't really working anyway. So how about we make it so we give you all the tools to do it, and we'll make it a 2,000 point game. We also wondered if, really going into this kind of shows a shift where I want to go with more of the monsters as opposed to the shooting, because I think that, even though the Sisters of Avalon are awesome and a Horde do great, people won't have fun being just shot across the board, whereas at least fighting monsters is something, right? But we actually wondered, like, is this going to be a bad matchup, all these things? And he thinks no, it'll be all right. He's actually thinking about bringing back his Dragon Ogres, because his Dragon Ogres with the great weapons might actually be the right type of counter to something like the Frostheart Phoenix, where you have the high strength, and my high strength of my own isn't really ignoring any armor of his, right? So it might be one of the nice things to have in there. And he has a larger charge. We won't have to worry about being overrun and stuff like that if I have eagles. So the good thing is that coming out of this game, he's still pretty positive. So that was awesome. Another win for the High Elves is awesome. And now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm having so much painted, I thinking about how I could even get these guys to gain them to a tournament type thing. So anyway, there you go. Hope you guys liked the battle, and we'll catch you again later. Bye.